Alright, so let's just call it for what it is right now. Boruto is getting a shiny new sword, but he might have accidentally done the one thing that might end up backfiring in the future. No, not by fighting Jura. We know that he's not going to go for round 2 against Jura this soon. Not by using the Jogan, that mystical, magical Muska Eye. It's not going to be debuting yet, but instead by handing Sumire that scroll from the future and asking her to build a sword that literally should not exist at this point in the timeline just yet. Yes, you heard that right. Boruto might have handed Amado a key towards discovering the existence of 10 directions. The very concept that Kashin Koji seemingly has been keeping to himself. Amado is smart enough, given enough context clues, he might figure out that 10 directions does exist. He has a exponential amount of information on Otsutsuki related stuff. The irony in all of this is that the girl who's always been underestimated, the one who Amado has repeatedly called stupid to her face, might be the one who ends up accidentally outsmarting Amado and leading Amado towards a potential huge discovery. So join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, is going to be breaking down how Boruto may have unintentionally caused a paradox, how Sumire's sword upgrade could end up exposing 10 Directions' existence, and why Amato might be able to use it to ultimately end up upgrading Kawaki. Yes, this one single act may be a butterfly effect that pushes Konoha into the worst possible outcome. As Boruto once said, Kawaki, I didn't think you would go this far. We might be getting seeds to how we get there. So let's just start first and foremost with the mistake that Boruto doesn't realize he might have made. Make no mistake, if he gave Sumire that scroll, Kashin Koji told him to do so. But as we've seen, Kashin Koji is not above overlooking things even with 10 directions. It's, at the end of the day, a power that is based off of probabilities. So Boruto approached Sumire to force that new sword, a reconstruction slash upgrade of the one that he got from Sasuke, except this wasn't your typical reforging. He wasn't telling her, yeah, the sword's chipped, so you need to get some like lava and other stuff and get blacksmith materials and just bang it really hard until the sword blade is fixed. That's not what he said. He handed her a scroll and it contained advanced scientific information, the kind of data that even Amado seemingly has not reached yet, because Boruto says, yeah, you'll end up doing research on this stuff in the future. And that might be the twist. This information, since it came from 10 Directions, that mysterious construct of time based on probabilities that Kashin Koji has access to, that scroll essentially holds Sumire's own future research, knowledge that she hasn't even fully conceived yet. That means Boruto just introduced a temporal feedback loop for the purposes of changing things for the short term for the better, which again, he's doing it at the behest of Kashin Koji. He is purposely altering the present with information in order to change the entire chain of discovery itself. This was completely something very logical on the surface level. He wants to strengthen his weapon for the looming battles against somebody like Mamushi and eventually Jura and Kawaki and whatever else is coming next. Makes total sense. He trusts Sumire, so does Kashin Koji. She is someone who is deeply connected to both science as well as the ninja background, and she is deeply loyal to Boruto. The problem though is that I don't think either one of these guys have fully accounted for the fact that this level of scientific disruption in a world where one man, Amado, has built his entire identity around being the smartest guy in the room, there's no way in hell Amado does not realize what's going on. When Sumire suddenly produces a sword that uses technology that is beyond even Amado's comprehension, even if it's only ahead by several months, he's gonna wonder, how in the hell did someone as dumb as Sumire get it? I'm not calling Sumire dumb so much as that's how Amado views her. It's part of Amado's character flaw. He's very arrogant, and that also brings me into why Amado's flaw is so important and how this is meant to shatter his worldview. So to fully understand the gravity of this, we have to talk about Amado himself. From the moment he was introduced, he was always portrayed as being arrogantly confident in his intellect. He belittles those around him, even allies. He's not afraid to play 4D chess against people who are exponentially stronger than him. Sumire, he has multiple times dismissed her. He's called her naive. He's called her stupid. He's grasped her skill set. She works underneath him, and yet he continuously patronizes her, especially in the Japanese version of the manga. For Amado, science isn't just a tool, it's really his identity. It's the one thing that sets him above the shinobi world that we have. It's his calling card. It's the thing that allows him to stare fate in the face and say, I'm gonna bring my daughter back by any means necessary. So in Sumire, his underling creates something that he can't explain at this moment in time. His first instinct is not to celebrate. He's not like me. If somebody in my circle gets a huge W, I say congratulations and I sincerely mean it. I want to see people around me do better than me. That's not Amado. Instead, Amado, his instinct will be to dissect from the shadows, to pry from the shadows, and eventually go through the mental hurdles needed in order to reverse engineer. He's gonna ask himself questions like, how did she acquire data that even I never thought of? Where does she get access to concepts that are beyond my current framework? And the most dangerous question of it all is that he's gonna ask, did this knowledge come from somewhere else? Did she know this from some unknown method? He won't be afraid to rule out something like Sumire having access to future information. Now, you might say that sounds crazy, but I would push back and say, Amado knows that things in this world are not natural. We're literally in a world where there are gods descending from space. There are talking animals. Do you really think Amado is going to rule out the possibility that Sumire, for whatever reason, got information from the future? He has worked on Sasuke DNA. He has remodeled entire human beings into cyborgs like Kawaki, Delta, Ada, Kashin Koji, Boro, etc. He's literally trying to revive his daughter from the dead by having Kawaki place a coma seal onto her clone so her soul can transfer into it. He's not the type of man that will laugh at something like a paradox. Instead, he's the type to try to understand it and eventually exploit it. And that's where the danger lies, in my opinion, because again, 10 directions is probability. These futures are not set in stone. Kashin Koji sees multiple possible angles, but at any moment things can change, and something that might only be a 1 in 10 chance of happening might actually happen. Once Amado starts tracing some of those breadcrumbs, he could easily uncover hints of 10 directions, and that kind of goes back to it. Kashin Koji does not want anybody to know that he's alive. Amado suspects it, but he's trying to stay hidden, and he's trying to keep the existence of 10 directions hidden. Boruto can't even tell people outside of his close allies how it is he knows the things that he knows. In other words, Boruto's sword might be a telescope to somebody like Amado. And that now brings me to Sumire's role, because she does have a role in this paradox. So let's talk about Sumire herself, because she is the real pivot point in this entire mess. And as her being a side character, which to clarify, because last time I said side characters, people were like, well, what about Itachi? When I say side characters, I only mean the classmates. So for Konoha, that's the Konoha 13. For Naruto, for Boruto, that's Team 10 and Sumire and Metal Lee. The rest of Boruto's other classmates do not exist in the manga. So this is a big deal for her. Sumire is a fascinating contrast to Amado. She's not arrogant. She's not driven by ego. She's driven by empathy. She's driven by her attraction to Boruto. She's driven by curiosity. And she is driven by her own moral restraints. She's driven by, at times, her own Boriko personality traits. She represents a new generation of shinobi who blend science with heart. But in the situation, she's also the one person with the least awareness of the danger that her new knowledge could represent. To her, that scroll Boruto gave her might feel like an extension of her future work. But while she may look at it like this is something that she'll eventually end up inventing anyway, the same way Boruto did, what she's really doing is introducing knowledge out of order. She's moving ahead in her own timeline, which is fine. But in doing so, there is a natural sequence of scientific evolution that gets broken. Imagine a 16th century blacksmith suddenly crafting a nuclear reaction. People won't just marvel, they'll panic, and some of them will get dangerously jealous. And I believe that's the kind of shock that Amado might feel when he sees whatever upgrades that she made to Boruto's sword, especially if it is technology based and is technology that right now does not fully exist. If it's something that should go beyond what she's viewed as being capable of making as of right now, Amado's going to question it. And that's where it kind of gets a little bit more poetic. Sumire's sword design likely isn't just technological, but it's also symbolic. Boruto's goal is going to end up changing the nature of Sasuke's sword. It's basically, in a symbolism perspective, changing it from a weapon of vengeance into a weapon of destiny. And having someone like Sumire make that weapon form, it becomes an even more symbolic blade. But by using future science, again, depending on how advanced it is, we don't know yet, but depending on how advanced it is, Sumire could unknowingly cross into that divine territory, because having access to information like this for this purpose, this is where you start playing with fate manipulation. And that's where it gets very dangerous, because if Amado realizes that her research is linking to something that is outside the scientific plane, because again, 10 directions is a shinjutsu, a divine jutsu, he's going to start asking questions. He's going to look at how she made the progress she did. He's going to try and connect it to his own work, and that's where it gets very dangerous, because he's already been looking at Kawaki's karma. He's already been looking at Otsutsuki's soul transfer process for the purposes of trying to revive his daughter. And more importantly, Kawaki told him, power me up through any means necessary, including scientific. Sumire is getting some very advanced science right now. This is what leads me to why this might be a quiet scientific arms race. So here's the thing, you're looking at Amado with wounded pride, an idiot in his eyes in Sumire, suddenly surpassing him. Once he realizes that Sumire's discovery defies everything that he knows, he's gonna investigate quietly, he's gonna analyze the sword from afar, especially if Kawaki sees it. He can watch the battle unfold, he can look at the composition of it, he can potentially look at the different things that are connected to it, the new functions that Boruto's able to use with them. And then Amado is smart enough to start reverse engineering how it was made. And you better believe he's gonna do it if he suspects that Sumire in some kind of way made some type of scientific tool that far exceeds anything that he's been able to do. Because this is somebody who doesn't just have ego, he's also doing everything for the purpose of his daughter. So if there's anything that can be gained from that technology, he's gonna look at it, not just for something with his daughter, but also because of Kawaki's demands to be able to get powered up via ninja tech. Basically, the goal is figure out how it's made. I get one prototype made from it, and then I make 10 more that are better. That's basically when you look at how he turned the car inners. So Kawaki, Damon, Ada, Boro, Kashin Koji, etc. When he turned all of them into cyborgs, when you look at it, all he really did was reverse engineer what was being done by people like Orochimaru with Hashirama cells, and what Orochimaru did with the sound gaining from Naruto Part 1. He just reverse engineered it and made it even better. The same thing with some of the technology that he got from Katasuke. He made it even better. Now combine that with the way that Kawaki's been asking for a way to gain more power through scientific means. You suddenly have a very perfect storm. Amado could use the tech Sumire derived from the 10 directions to create an entirely new type of ninja tech. This is strictly something that is technology based. He's in his realm here. This might lead to him making something even Kashin Koji didn't predict, or it might have been something that was only a 1 out of 10 possibility, 1 out of 1,000 possibility. Because again, 10 directions is probabilities. So imagine the fallout. Kawaki, already obsessed with control and power and protection, getting another upgrade from Amado that comes via him figuring out how Sumire made Boruto's sword stronger. You think Amado couldn't find a way to apply that to Kawaki's ninja tech? He probably could. And this brings me to now why there's a danger in Amado discovering 10 directions existence. So let's take a step back and ask ourselves a question. What happens if Amado discovers that Kashin Koji has 10 directions? 10 directions, philosophically speaking, it represents infinite states of existence, multiple possible timelines. If a man like Amado knows that something like that is out there and that a former test subject in Kashin Koji has access to it, he's going to try to find Kashin Koji. Kashin Koji's trying to stay in the shadows hidden. We don't know why he says that he has to stay hidden. We have headcanon, but we don't have anything confirmed. Kashin Koji clearly does not want Amado to get access to 10 directions in any way, shape, or form. Something like that in the hands of Amado becomes something very dangerous. Boruto has the right idea. He's working towards salvation. He's working towards saving the world, but he might also be potentially handing Amado the ultimate equation, because once a scientist begins to start connecting dots, Sumire's inexplicable breakthrough with the sword, Boruto's modified sword, and him possibly figuring out that there's a power out there that's able to see multiple possible timelines, he's going to start trying to look for the source. Code's already looking for Kashin Koji. He's been given that job by Jura. The last thing Koji needs is somebody like Amado trying to figure out too. And make no mistake, that is dangerous, because Amado is the type of person, once he starts to notice a pattern, once he sees that there might be a benefit, once he sees a anomaly, things that nature's, basically Amado, because of how much he has invested in having his daughter brought back to life through any means necessary, and he's dealing with a unstable agent in Kawaki. If there's even a 1% chance that someone like Sumire got access to technology it doesn't exist, you don't think that Amado would go looking for the source to see if there's other information out there that would allow him to revive his daughter without having to rely on Kawaki, who is constantly telling him, do what I say, or I don't put the coma seal on your daughter. If there's another way for him to bring his daughter's soul back into a clone body, Amado will use it. We know that there probably isn't anything that Koji sees with 10 directions. Amado's desperate. Desperate people, they don't necessarily listen to logic. The moment that Amado realizes that Boruto himself might have come into contact with information that transcends time, he'll stop at nothing wondering where it came from. You gotta remember, when Boruto told Kawaki, hey, Amado's been limiting your power, you would have figured this out anyway, Amado was already freaking out. He's had time to think, but he didn't have anything concrete to ask the question, is Boruto getting information from the future? If he sees Sumire make technology it shouldn't exist at this point in time, he's gonna revisit that. This could be one of the safeguards in Konoha collapsing. So in the end, Boruto's greatest mistake might not be trusting the wrong person, but it might be trusting the right person at the wrong time. Only if Amado can figure out what it is Sumire did. The Sumire option, it was very beautifully done. I love it. But given how Amado views Sumire, I do think it is opening up another can of worms. If there's one thing we know about Amado, it's that he doesn't stop at the word impossible. Instead, he just defines it. And by defines it, I mean he basically does what Naruto did. Naruto was like, it's called chakra or whatever it is he said, and Konoha was like, you mean chakra? And Naruto was like, yeah, of course, that's exactly what I mean. It's the exact same thing. Amado does not understand impossible. He just understands being sussy. He's very much like Code. Code never gives up even after getting his ass whooped 9 million times. Amado will never give up trying to revive his daughter. And that's the tragedy here, in my opinion. Boruto's faith in friendship and destiny might spark the very discovery that allows Amado to figure out Kashin Koji has 10 directions. It might lead to Amado at the bare minimum, again, looking at the technology that Sumire was able to move with and see if he can't apply something to Kawaki. That might be where that scientific line came from. When Kawaki said scientific methods or otherwise, we might finally have our answer. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and clicking here on the left to check out more videos from Naruto Explained, or click here on the right to check out videos from other 2 anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.